Hey, what is going on, everybody? Boilon here, back for another video here on Marvel Strike Force. Happy weekend to you guys. And today we're here to talk about the Shadow King because his event is coming back around very soon, as you guys may or may not have seen on the Friday blog post that he is. Actually, it's in game as well, but he is coming back around on a Monday. I want to talk about all of the best characters that you can use for the Shadow King trial if you have not maxed him out. I think it's a good idea to try and push for this, honestly. I have no confirmation on this, but I do have some speculation that there is going to be some yellow stars required if you want to use characters in the Xavier Dimensions saga, whatever it happens to be. I already explained why I think this is going to be the case for Lalandra. I think that it could be, honestly, for most characters. We've seen the return of the Old Man Logan trials. We're seeing the return of the Shadow King trials. I think there's a reason for this, and so if it's possible, I would push for the 7 yellow if you possibly can, and that would avoid any potential conflict if there is a yellow cap. But we're going to talk about that and more, so if you're ready to go, let's boil this down. So first things first, that you can find it here. I'm recording this on Saturday morning, so this is going to be available, of course, on Monday at 2 p.m. as well. We're going to be talking about tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to be talking about the hero's path, hero's journey, and the other anniversary events. So stay tuned for that video there. But let's take a look at the preview for the Shadow King trial. This is my first time actually looking at the milestone. I heard that they changed it a little bit towards the bottom. Now keep in mind that there is not any leaderboards anymore, so it's just this. This is all you're getting. Now, his red stars still are not available, so it seems like it's capping out at a 4 red. Now, I don't remember the 4 red necessarily being there the second time. My memory's bad. Was it there the second time? But we had the Astral Force currency, right, where you could, I think maybe it was, but remember there was an Astral Force currency where you could get like up to a 5 red or beyond if you really wanted to push that. It seems this looks pretty similar, but someone told me that there's like less stuff in here. Maybe they were just talking about the Astral Force. Anyways, it's here, right? So these milestones are directly associated with the difficulty that you're running, right? So if you want to get a 7 yellow Shadow King, you need to run difficulty 15. It's that simple. If you want a 6 yellow Shadow King, you need to run difficulty 13. And if you want the 4 red, then you need to run difficulty 14, right? I do have a video actually of the full gameplay guide of the Shadow King trials where I did a D15 run. I'm going to leave that link in the description down below because I do not plan on recording another one Monday or beyond. I'm just going to run it myself and then that's it, right? So if you have not done it yet, if you have not done a D15 run, and if you're wondering what it looks like, do check out that video. It's quite in-depth detailed for each of the nodes, so do keep that in mind there. Let's take a look at the tables that are required for each of the nodes, and then we'll go into the best characters, of course. So let's just scroll down to the bottom here at D15. So there is a requirement of 6 yellow stars for your Illuminati, but not Captain Britain. So Captain Britain, for the restricted Illuminati nodes, is not yellow star capped. Hopefully you have Captain Britain, right? Hopefully you were coring a little bit when the showcase was around, which explains why the Shadow King trial was coming back. And then you do need a 6 yellow Annihilators for mission 6, which is fine because they're farmable too. That shouldn't be a big deal. And the characters that I use for mission 10, actually, do you even need to actually? I don't know if you actually need to do mission 10. To be honest, I think if you put enough packs, you can actually do a 9 node run. Because since the leaderboard is not a thing, just like Old Man Logan, like you can actually skip nodes, I think, if you put enough packs on. Let me know in the comments down below if you remember this, because I honestly don't remember what I did on the second run, I'll be honest. My memory of that one, in part, for some reason, is fading. But because the leaderboard's not there, I don't think you actually need to do the 10th node. But either way, I used a mixture of Black Panther, Shuri. You can see it in my video if you're curious. Black Panther, Shuri, Thanos Endgame, and actually a lot of Annihilators, and then Black Panther, Shuri for some control. But we have some global villain. We have some brawler, non-mythic. That's important because Super Skrull is a mythic brawler, right? Mercenary or Undying. Honestly, this is mercs for money. This is mercs for money. Absolutely. unfortunately. Undying, I think, did pretty terribly from what I remember. Like, it wasn't even worth doing. It wasn't really a good option unless you're running it on a lower difficulty. But it is really marks for money. And the biggest thing is having to preload the energy on Old Man Logan. That's what I remember. Is that you had to do on node 1, bring Old Man Logan in there to charge him up beforehand so that you could use his ultimate on the spider. I'm pretty sure it's node 5, right? The Spider Weaver. That's what I remember there. So global villain, brawler, non-mythic, mercs for money. Those are the three main ones. So let's take a look in game at global villain. That I don't remember that being that difficult, right? Like if I'm not mistaken, I think it was actually pretty easy, right? Because it was just Orcus. I think that's what I used. Orcus Apocalypse. I think that was about it, right? Like I don't think things have changed in the roster since then as far as global villain is concerned. What was that start? Oh, did I just get a 6? I just got a 6 yellow Aries. When did I do that? It must have been from my old RTA pass and I never upgraded them. Oops. Okay, we're doing that here on the video. Anyways, things haven't really changed with regards to the characters that are available, right? It's still Orcus. It's still Orcus Apocalypse, so I don't think it's going to be that difficult there. I suppose you could use Cabal, but realistically, we should be sticking with a 2.0 stat era characters when it comes to this, so I don't think that's going to be that big of a deal. As far as your Illuminati, if you're trying to min-max your Illuminati, now I know this is going to be dependent on where you're at in the game, right? Actually, I was going to say avoid iron. So the easiest time that I had, and I'm going to give a shout out to Big Positive Geek because way back in November or whenever we had the first one, he actually made this suggestion to me. And I hate the idea of building Iron Man, but I found this to be the easiest time when I ran it. I actually didn't use Mr. Fantastic. I used Iron Man, Captain Britain, Hank Pym, Black Bolt, and Black Panther Shuri. Now I heard that you could also subtract Black Bolt and use Mr. Fantastic, but using Iron Man was really important to fighting the Sinister Six, which was I believe the first node, like the main Illuminati node, because it was a super pain in the ass. But the reason was because then you could there was Cosmic Crucible boss, but you could extend the trauma using Iron Man here. Actually, it's right here. Sorry, duration of all negative effects by 1, prolonging that, and it prolongs trauma, and that was really important to getting this done. That's what I remember, right? Like, yes, I'm level 100. I had him from Bionic Avengers. He was already 90. I think you can do it without it, but my video does do it from the perspective of Iron Man. So take that with a little bit of grain of salt. That was probably one of the more challenging nodes in the Shadow King trials, from what I remember, is going up against the Superior Six. There was a lot of Sinister Six and Superior Six in that node. It was a bit of a pain in the ass. Took a bunch of resetting times, like maybe like half a dozen times to reset to get it perfect, so that my characters weren't all dead. Now, depending on who you're using later on, it might not matter as long as you cleared the node. That's probably fine, because I don't know if you actually need to use you need to do node 10 or not. So do keep that one in mind. Global villain we talked about. So brawler, non-mythic. Now we can just subtract any of the mythic ones on the list here. This has changed a little bit because we've had I think we've had a few new characters. Now, I remember specifically using Thanos Endgame a lot on these nodes. I also used, if I'm not mistaken, I used Nightcrawler. Nightcrawler was very important for the control. And some people used a different variety of things. Like I used Vulture, I used Guardian in some cases. Nightcrawler, Thanos Endgame, Blade is now farmable, so that's pretty huge because he's probably going to hit really hard now that he's farmable. So if you do have him up with any diamonds at all, Lady Deathstrike also is usable as well. Ancient One is also farmable now. I think Ancient One was available back then, but because she wasn't farmable, she was still pretty weak, I think. And then there's Medusa, but Medusa would be standalone, not farmable. So I don't know if that's a character that you'd want to bring in or not. Patriot's here, but honestly, I have no idea if Patriot's going to be good for this at all standalone. I don't think so because it's a war team and there are not war buffs. It's arena and Cosmic Crucible buffs. So I don't think that Patriot's going to be very good for this. Apparently, there's Omega Red Dark Phoenix. He might have some value here too. I don't have him leveled, so let me know in the comments down below. He might actually there's Crucible buffs, right? So he very well could be quite strong in this. If you have Omega Red Phoenix Force leveled up and you do not have Shadow King yet at 7 yellow, this very well could be something that's good for you. So keep that in mind there. But yeah, I remember doing this very much with just Thanos Endgame. Blade, Lady Deathstrike, some combination of Nightcrawler, Guardian. These are all, with the exception of Nightcrawler, you don't need, you kind of still need him a little bit, but most of these other characters you do need. right? So you should have them leveled up anyways. The rest of these things don't matter. Like it's not going to matter. So that one is a little bit trickier, just because you can't use Super Scroll. Mega Red's not he's epic, not mythic. So yeah, I mean, he very well could carry you. I don't know how that's going to look actually, and that might be something interesting, but I don't really have him leveled, so that's not something that I'm going to be able to try. But I would be curious though how others get this to work, if or sorry, not get it to work, but like use it with Omega Red Phoenix Force and see if that actually makes a significant difference. Because I know that he has a pretty big kit, and he's going to get those Cosmic Crucible buffs, which could be a pretty big thing. Beyond that, again, we talked about Mercs for Money. You're kind of stuck with that. Maybe you can carry it by not having to build some of the other characters higher, but you're gonna, that's it. Like I don't think Undying works. Let me know if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure Undying doesn't work very well. And honestly, there's just not a lot else to talk about. It's pretty restricted, I guess you could say, the Shadow King trial versus the Old Man Logan trial, because there's really not a lot of alternative options. I would say the Brawler one has the most option. The rest of them are pretty shoehorned in, right? You have your Illuminati, you have your basically Orcus Apocalypse, that kind of thing. With a little bit of flexibility, I guess. You have Mercs for Money, and you have Annihilators, and that's about it. So it's a pretty small list of characters that you need to build for this, actually, which maybe is a good thing. But like I said in the beginning, I think that you should push for a 7 yellow Shadow King if you haven't already. It's going to be pretty important because you never know. The Xavier requirements may include a 7 yellow restriction, and it's better to be prepared than not be prepared in case they do that, because we don't know when the next time that this trial is going to come around. So I just wanted to put out this video really quickly here for the weekend. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments down below, and I'll see you guys on tomorrow's event video. And if you like this video, make sure you hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and you'll be greatly helping out the channel. Have a great day, and I'll see you guys on the next one.